So this is something of a confession and something I've never talked about publicly before. And I'll be honest, I've been a bit nervous about saying anything about it at all, but here goes. So last year I was diagnosed with ADHD and it totally caught me off guard. I'd never even thought about it before, never suspected it. And it wasn't until one of my children was diagnosed that my wife gently suggested I might want to get assessed too. I resisted, pushed back strongly. Apparently that's classic ADHD behaviour. But eventually I took an online test, then booked an appointment. And suddenly so many things about my life, especially my writing, started to make sense. I'd always had focus issues. At school I was the classic daydreamer and messing about. I scraped through, I winged things, I left stuff until the last second. And yet somehow got away with it, mostly. Then at university I wrote my first novel, and I don't even know how. I was juggling everything else, studying and going out, and of course procrastinating. And yet somehow I still finished it. In my 20s, while working full-time as a journalist, I wrote 2 more novels. One even got some interest from agents, but nothing quite happened. Still, I kept writing, and I never really questioned how I could focus so intensely on novels and writing, even if the rest of my life was often in chaos. I could spend 9 hours a day writing, totally immersed. I'd write full chapters on the tube on the way to work, completely locked in. Apparently that's hyper-focus, and I had no idea. But I'd also forget appointments, pack for holidays or work trips at midnight the night before. At work, I thrived under pressure, newsrooms, breaking stories. That fast pace suited me. But outside of that, planning, relationships, organisation and balance, total mess. It worked in my 20s and even into my 30s, but once I had a family and kids, responsibilities and just more of everything, it all became much, much harder. That's when I realised this wasn't just how I am, this was something I needed to understand properly. The diagnosis definitely helped, but the acceptance took much longer. It took 8 months before I started saying, yes, this is me, and yes, this includes taking medication and figuring out how to make it work for me. Now I've found a level that helps. I can focus better, especially on the things that I used to avoid. Admin, chores, the boring stuff, the bits that used to totally derail me. And it hasn't hurt my writing. If anything, it's helped. I'm clearer when I edit my current work in progress. I can zoom out and see what the book needs, not just the scene I'm in. There are definitely still challenges, of course. I'm terrible at planning. I still fight distraction. I still procrastinate and catch myself doom scrolling. But I found 3 writing strategies that really help me. So number 1 is do something every day. Even if it's just 150 words, progress is progress. 2, write everywhere. I switch it up. Cafes, home, libraries, new environments help. 3, reading about writing. Craft books give me focus and structure when needed. And I've also learned from some quotes like this one and found them really useful. Agatha Christie said, I work much better with a deadline. I always write my last chapter first. Now that kind of structure combined with the wildness of a creative brain is something that I'm learning to embrace. ADHD hasn't stopped me from writing novels or books. It's part of how I do it. It brings chaos, yes, but it also brings hyperfocus, imagination and urgency. So if you're a writer or a creative with ADHD, or you suspect you might be, this is me saying you're not alone. You can finish the novel or the project you're working on. You can get it done. And the more you understand yourself, the more powerful that process becomes. I'd love to know if any of this resonates, and I'd love to hear how others manage their creativity and neurodivergence. There's a post on the blog, a bit more on it there, but thanks for listening.